Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever, whenever you're listening to the show. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, welcoming you to episode 342, which is kind of an interesting one because it's being broadcast live at a slightly different time than usual. And this is due to some travel that I have to do tomorrow. I couldn't broadcast at the normal time because I have to get up at about 4:30, 4:15 in the morning, and that would mean about 3 hours of sleep, or less. After everything I do on the show, I finish at midnight Eastern, but then there's some work I have to do afterwards. So having the show start a little earlier for a change. And also some technical difficulties at the beginning, so I had to restart. So we're also we didn't actually start exactly on the hour, which is unfortunate, but we'll survive. And what else? Well, this is a pretty important show, folks. This is the last show before the election. This is something that I've been working for now for 7 years. I said the last election we had 4 years ago that was going to be instrumental and have a huge impact on the country. I hate to blow my own horn, but I was right, and it did. But as big as that impact was, I feel that the next impact could be even bigger. So, folks, what can we do? Things are looking good. Polls seem to be turning. I heard today that one poll, again, probably only one poll, might be a bit of an outlier, but had Trump up 7 in North Carolina. He's ahead in Florida. So he's up 12 in Texas. Now, Texas wasn't really supposed to be a swing state. We always thought it would go for Trump, but the Democrats have been working very hard to turn Texas, and we're showing now that they haven't been successful. So things are looking good. But are they good enough? We've also had, in spite of what the regressives and the lying state media say about there being no voter fraud, or already been voter fraud signaled all over the country. So how can we combat that? Well, one is to, as I said a few weeks ago, see if you can help out organizations, True the Vote, Stop the Steal, or even just your local GOP, and volunteer as a poll watcher. If you can take the day off, if you're retired, if you don't have work, do something useful. Go be a poll watcher. Now, you may be intimidated. There are lots of stories of Republican poll watchers being intimidated. Stand your ground. But do that. If you don't want to do that, and I can understand that, there is one thing that you can, and I would almost say must do. Get out of your comfort zone. Start talking politics with people that you would never even think of talking politics with. At work, on the train, in the coffee shop, friends, family, neighbors. talk to them, highlight what Hillary is doing, has done, and what will likely happen if she becomes president. Hardly get those words over my lips. I've heard stories of people hearing women saying, well, I voted for Hillary when she was senator, so I'm going to vote for here, even if she's a criminal. Even if she's a criminal. Have we sunk so low that people will ignore and ignore the fact that someone is likely a criminal and will not even vote them in? They might say, well, she's not proven a criminal yet. Oh, come on, folks. That's just the lying state media again, messing you around with all that information. She is definitely a criminal. There is enough evidence. So think about it. If you say, I'm going to vote for her even if I know she's a criminal, even if you look at the stuff, what does that make you? If you knew that your babysitter was a criminal, would you let the babysitter look after your children? If you knew that your car mechanic was a criminal, would you let him work on your car? Would you actually trust that he did what he said he did and charged you for? Think about it. And then people are saying, I'm going to vote for her even though I know she's a criminal. They're going to vote for someone into the highest office in the land even though that they know they're a criminal. What's gone wrong with this country? And I'm going to talk a little bit more about After the Republic, that article I started last week. Next section actually is called Foul is Fair and Fair is Foul. Yeah, Bizarro World. And I think that matches it up. And think about it, folks. Even if she's not yet a proven criminal, there is one thing that's been proven. She is a proven cheat. And you go, Stefan, how can you say that? Well, suppose your children came back from school and said, hey, Dad, I'm going to get an A on this test. I aced it because Johnny gave me a copy of the questions a week ago and I was able to study up on everything and I'm going to get an A. How would you feel about that? Well, we know 2 documented cases that Donna Brazile gave 1 or more questions to Hillary. Hillary never said a word about it. Isn't that exactly the same as your child getting the questions to a test beforehand, but also not saying anything about it? At least to the teacher. They said it to you, or they might not even say it to you, but if you found out, how would you feel? So, there you are, folks. She's a proven cheat. She's all but indicted as a criminal. Why are we still even thinking about voting for her? I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. At least I think so. So, you know what, folks? You just need to go out there. You need to talk to the people and say, are you crazy? Are you really going to vote for someone this evil? Okay. Another quick reminder for my local listeners. If you're in Forsyth County, East Cherokee, North Fulton, maybe even Hall County, 6:30 Sunday evening, the Cumming Courthouse. Cumming, that's the center of Cumming. We have a prayer for our nation. They are going to read the Pledge of Allegiance, a reading of the Bill of Rights, then there will be a prayer, and then there will be a singing of God Bless America by the crowd, They're asking people to come quietly and to leave quietly. Flags, okay. I think they said no signs, no candles. Candles are not permitted, but you can bring cell phones, flashlights, etc. And like I said, if you're anywhere near Cumming, Georgia, you may want to try and get there. I think it's going to be a problem for me because I'm going to actually be at Stone Mountain this weekend. But do come. And if you're not in Georgia, if you're not near Cumming, think about trying to do something like that yourselves. Now, the one in Cumming, they have applied for permission to do so. You might need to do that in order to be able to hold a group like that. But do it. Go to your local town or city, to the courthouse steps, and the pledge, the Bill of Rights, a prayer, have someone lead you in prayer, and then sing God Bless America. Let's get back some faith into America. So I want to welcome David into the chat room after the restart. Mary was in, I had to restart due to technical difficulties. Mary was there, but I'm afraid we lost her, but I told her 5 to 10 minutes. I may have been a little quick there. Anyway, we'll see. So those were the first two topics. So let's go back to the article After the Republic. This is really a good article with a lot of reasons in it why we shouldn't go down the path that the regressives are trying to take us. In other words, good reasons why not to vote for Hillary. It's called After the Republic. It came from a website called www.claremont.org. I normally don't give out these things, but I think you ought to go and read it if you have time. And on that website, look for a blog posting called After the Republic by Angelo M. Codavia. And I read some of it in the last show. I have another piece that I want to talk about now. I mean, this, and I've tried to avoid kind of reading things verbatim out, but parts of this blog really need to be shared because they are so, they describe the situation so exactly. I just can't make as good words to do this. So the next section was called Foul is Fair and Fair is Foul. So, what Angelo said, in short, precisely as the classics defined regime change, people and practices that had been at society's margins have been brought to its centre, while people and ideas that had been central have been marginalised. Well, exactly. Now, like I said, these words are so perfect. He gives some examples. 50 years ago, prayer in schools was near universal, but no one was punished for not praying. Nowadays, countless people are arrested or fired for praying on school property. 50 years ago, bringing sexually explicit stuff into schools was treated as a crime, as was procuring abortion. Nowadays, schools contract with Planned Parenthood to teach sex and will not tell parents when they take girls to Planned Parenthood facilities for abortions. Back then, 50 years ago, many schools worked with the NRA to teach gun handling and marksmanship. Nowadays, students are arrested and expelled merely for pointing their finger and saying bang. In those times, boys who ventured into the girls' bathroom were expelled as perverts. Now girls are suspended for objecting to boys coming in to the girls' room under pretense of transgenderism. So, I mean, just bizarro world, bizarro world. And let me just do a quick So the next section of that blog, it's quite a long one, but I think it's worth having a look at some of their key things that the gentleman said. Next section is called Imperial Alternatives. But before we go there, I'm going to, and I just did an intermezzo there, but I think it'd be a good opportunity to stop, take a sip of my beer, and to play a commercial. So I'll be back.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
'Cause I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
You're listening to Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patriotcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. Okay, so let's try that again. Next section of the After the Republic. And basically what the whole premise of this particular posting was have we reached the end of the Republic as the founders had intended it? And I think especially if Hillary does get in and messes up the SCOTUS for her, he could be right. Now, and I'll be very honest, even with Donald Trump, I don't think we're going to be able to go back to the fully founders conservative type approach. He will have an uphill battle to drain the swamp. I know it's a great it's a great slogan that he has there, but it's going to be a bit of a challenge for him. But even if he can only do 1/3 or half of what he's promised to do, we will be 100 times better off than if we were to continue down the path we've been going down. So anyway, imperial alternatives. The consequences of empowering today's Democratic Party are crystal clear. The Democratic Party, regardless of its standard bearer, and that's actually quite true. I mean, Hillary is pretty bad, but really any of them. Can you imagine if she's as sick as we think and we get Creepy Kane or a Chucky Schumer or whatever? A Harry Reid maybe as president? Yeah. The Democratic Party would use its victory to drive the transformations that it has already wrought on America to quantitative and qualitative levels that not even its members can imagine. We can be sure of that because what it has done and is doing is rooted in a logic that has animated the ruling class for a century, and because that logic has shaped the minds and hearts of millions of this class members, supporters, and wannabes. Again, I couldn't have expressed it better myself. The article goes on to talk about people like Herbert Crowley and Woodrow Wilson, part of FDR's Brains Trust, and then FDR himself. I mean, just people, progressive politicians who choked the life out of the constitutional republic. And that's exactly what's in the article, and that's exactly what happened. So the programs, he goes on to say, the programs have changed over time. But its disdain for how other Americans live and think has remained fundamental. Again, talking about the regressives. He calls them progressives. I like to call them regressives because they're really a step back. More than any commitment to principles, programs, or way of life, this is its paramount feature. This comes back to what Donald Trump has been saying, the disdain, the looking down, the ruling class, the elites, and there are many regressive Republicans, believe me. They all look down upon us and think they are much better than us. Think about the media reaction to Hillary Clinton's remark that half of Trump's supporters could be put in a basket of deplorables, as if these sentiments were novel and peculiar to her. In fact, these are unremarkable restatements of our ruling class's perennial creed. Isn't that just exactly right? And plus, of course, that was the other thing that a few people commented on, but of course the lying state media wouldn't. The fact that she'd said that, put that against what Romney said, right, 4 years ago, and the outcry that had. But it shows you the lying state media, the media are part of that ruling class, and they look down on us as much as everybody else in that ruling class. And that includes Fox News Channel. I've been very disappointed recently. There are still some hosts on there that have been not anti-Trump by any means. Some of them very pro, like Sean Hannity. Others like O'Reilly, who have tended to stay a little more fair and balanced, but definitely fair and balanced. Then you have people like Shep Smith, who time after time after time just has negative things about Trump, even when he's doing well. People like Dana Perino, who thinks she's so clever because she was in the George Bush administration, therefore knows everything. And of course, the Bushes don't like Trump, so neither does she. I mean, just unbelievable. Anyway, let's go back to the article. Check my time here. Yeah, we've got time. So, what Codevilla goes on to say was, thus has come to pass what President Dwight Eisenhower warned against in his 1960 farewell address. A steadily increasing share of science is conducted for, by, or at the direction of the federal government. The free university, historically fountainhead of free ideas and scientific discovery, has experienced a revolution. A government contract becomes virtually a substitute for intellectual curiosity. Hence, said Ike, the prospect of domination of the nation's scholars by federal employment, project allocations, and the power of money is ever present and is gravely to be regarded. So, think about it. Isn't that just true? How left-wing are all our universities? Now, is it just because of all the federal money coming in? No, that's one half of it. The other half is that the regressives, long time ago, realized that if they wanted to have power and keep power, you had to get the youth, you had to get the people, schools and colleges. And isn't that exactly what they did? Now, who first thought of that? Right? Yes, Adolf Hitler, right? That comes from the 1930s in Germany. Wer die Kinder hat die Zukunft. Whoever has the children has the future. They laid the ground for that. But it's the regressives that really absolutely built that up to the level that it is now. And look at the universities now. They have to have safe spaces. Right, the university that wanted to reintroduce segregation, they wanted to have spaces that were for black people only. You know, Martin Luther King must be spinning in his grave after everything that the civil rights leaders did in the 60s, and now they're demanding a space for black people only. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. Okay, folks, let's see how we're doing here. I think. So, it's the contempt, stupid. So, talking about the science and the universities and everything there, here's a very specific example that Codevilla mentioned. Who a generation ago could have guessed that careers and social standing could be ruined by stating the fact that the paramount influence on the Earth's climate is the sun, that its output of energy varies, and with it the climate? Who a decade ago could have predicted that stating that marriage is the union of a man and a woman, that stating that would result in you being treated as a culpable sociopath? And who would have expected, and that's just, he says, just very recently, that refusing to let a certifiably biological man into a woman's bathroom would disqualify you from mainstream society? Or by saying that the lives of white people matter as much as those of blacks, that's evidence of racism? These things just came about, quite simply, because some sectors of the ruling class felt like inflicting them on the rest of America. Insulting presumed inferiors proved to be even more important to the ruling class than the infliction's substance. He asked the question, how far will they go? Because their network is mutually supporting, they will go as far as they want. And here's the scary bit. Already, there is pressure from ruling class constituencies, as well as academic arguments, for morphing the concept of hate crime, which in of itself is a very dangerous path to walk down. Yes, it was put into law, but hate crime, I mean, we're talking here First Amendment, etc. But anyway, morphing the concept of hate crime into the criminalization of hate speech. And what does hate speech mean? It means whatever these loving, ruling elites hate. Of course, yes, this is contrary to the First Amendment and is a wholesale negation of freedom. But aren't they just trying to take away our freedom all the time? But there is no more so than the negation of freedom of association that is already eclipsing religious freedom in the name of anti-discrimination. If we get a Democratic president, Congress and Supreme Court, nothing will stand in their way. So, folks, like I said, frightening, but I think very true words that Mr. Codevilla wrote. So I want to thank him for that. Like I said, go to Claremont, Claremont, Claremont.org, and look it up, After the Republic. Some very good pieces in there. And as David said in the chat room, and thanks for being there, David. I think we lost Mary. Divide and conquer. That's exactly what they're doing, right? Put us all into different groups. So, I think it's time for a commercial. We're halfway through the show, so I will run the commercial. I will take another sip of my Kentucky Common beer. It's a recipe from 1902, not as old as the recipe that I was drinking last week, but still rather a nice little beer to drink. I will be back with you shortly, folks.
Patriot come lately. British by birth, American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
This is Stefan, your Patriot come lately, proud to be on Red Nation Rising Radio. These can be dark and depressing times, but Main Street USA finally has a competitive voice to traditional mainstream media outlets. And it's screaming at all hours, 24/7, we want our country back. America, it's time to wake up, expose the regressives, and keep listening to the new dominant force in conservative internet talk radio, the Red Nation Rising Radio Network, powered by ICRN.
Not too long ago, it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank, didn't it? For a vacation or a new car. But today, withdrawing your own cash has become risky. Pat Boone here for Swiss America. According to The Secret War, a new Swiss America white paper, I learned that all banks are now required to spy on you and me for the government, and then report any financial behavior deemed suspicious or unusual. You must read The Secret War. It's free. Truth is, I believe the government's new war against cash is really a war against us all. But the secret is now out. So please, get and read The Secret War.
Call 800-516-3405. 800-516-3405. 800-516-3405. Call right now. That number again is 800-516-3405.
You're listening to Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patriotcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. Okay, folks, we're into the second half of the show. Just want to remind you, if you want to communicate with me, you can reach me, Stefan at patriotcomelately.us. Love to hear from my listeners. David, who's in the chat room at the moment, has sent me a number of emails, including a few today with some interesting information. There's so much out there, although I think I did pick up some of that Mark Rich stuff to use if we have time at the end, because that's more corruption, and I've promised to give you all sorts of reasons not to vote for Hildebeest. But there are others as well who have said that they won't be voting for the Hildebeest. And I call this section, Are the Rats, or maybe I should say, Are the Democ Rats Leaving the Sinking Ship? Because much to my surprise, I think it was last night, in discussions around the latest stuff coming out about Hillary and Huma Abedin and these things on Carlos Danger or Tony Weiner's laptop, what is it, over 500,000 emails and whatever. And he said it was getting to a point that he could not support Clinton. Doug Schoen, remember, he's a Democrat advisor, pollster. He's been so pro-Hillary throughout the months. Yes, he comes on Fox, but he's been so pro all the time, and all of a sudden to say he feels he can't support Clinton, I thought the sun was going to rise in the West. And if it wasn't Doug Schoen, then what about Chris Matthews? He seemed to be endorsing Trump as well. Boy, so if Doug Schoen didn't make the sun rise in the West, I guess Chris Matthews would. So like I said, are the rats leaving the sinking ship? We'll see. Okay, another quick little topic, and that does go back to what happened on Friday when Comey sent the letter, apparently he sent it on Thursday, but it became known on Friday that he sent this letter to the committee chairman and the ranking members in Congress saying that information had surfaced that required him to reopen the investigation into Hillary's emails. Now, he had promised to do that when he was last interrogated on the Hill. And he said, if anything comes up, I will let you know. So he was kind of under an obligation to do that. However, a number of pundits, including some on the right, and pretty much all of them on the left, said that Comey should not have raised this so close to the election. It's impacting the election. Some have even gone as far to say that it violates the Hatch Act. Now, so here's my take on it. The Hatch Act says that you cannot manipulate a release like this in order to impact an election. Well, actually, the Hatch Act, and this is what they quote, because they say there's also FBI policy. The Hatch Act actually says that a government official can't be involved in politicking, put very simply. So that one isn't going to fly. The best chance they would have is the policy one, which basically says there is, and I've heard 90 days, I've heard 6 weeks, I've heard 30 days. Nobody seems to know the right number, but basically that the FBI is not supposed to basically release anything that might impact the election. Except that it isn't release anything. The actual policy says they are not to manipulate things so that they would be released in this time. Notice the difference there, manipulate things. Because this information came to Comey, came to the FBI, not designed to be released now, but it came to their attention. So, if he didn't tell anybody about it, you could argue that he was impacting the election just as much as if he said something about it. So in truth, Comey was between a rock and a hard place. And given the fact that I think he has realized, and all the rumors that come out, only Comey knows for sure, and maybe his wife, but all the rumors coming out that he realized that he'd made a mistake when he did not proceed with trying to indict Hillary Clinton. This was his chance for a do-over. And so I think if he says, I'm going to be damned if I do it, I'm going to be damned if I don't, I think he decided the honorable thing to do was to do it. So I think most people would agree with me. Would it be right to hide this away and ignored until after the election? And then, if ever at all? I think the ruling class think we really are stupid to accept something like this. If any candidate has something about their character or something that they have done that comes to light, even if it's the day before the election, it should not be suppressed. Now, what I would be very much against is this coming to light, say 3 or 4 months ago, and the FBI sitting on it and then bringing it to light now. But as soon as something comes to light, even if it's within the 60 days or the 6 weeks, whatever the time frame is, if something this major comes to light, as we the people, I want that information out on the table. I want to know what I'm dealing with when I'm voting. And if something really serious came up about Donald Trump, I'd like I want to know that as well. David says, Comey's as corrupt as the rest of them. Yeah, he's part of the ruling class. I think he says it was a CYA move. The only reason, I think, well, two things. Number one, I think he realized he couldn't keep a lid on it, and so it was better if he brought it out. And the reason he couldn't keep a lid on it is because the atmosphere at the FBI, again, all hearsay, I don't know for certain, I don't travel in ruling elite class type circles, but everything I've heard here, there, and everywhere from a number of different sources is that the atmosphere at the FBI could be cut with a knife. People were not speaking to Comey. If he passed down the hallway and say good morning to them, they would just ignore him. He has a desk full of resignation letters that he hasn't accepted yet. I mean, people are really annoyed at what he did in July. So I think, yes, he's corrupt, but he's taking the opportunity to perhaps write something and perhaps try and rescue the FBI to a certain extent. But anyway, so how are we doing for time? Well, I'm going to slip in our final commercial for the evening. And just a reminder, folks, this is the last show before the election. I hope to be back on my normal schedule next week. That means 11 p.m. Eastern, and of course 10 Central, 9 Mountain, and 8 Pacific. And some of the early results will already be there. I think there may be a good idea of where we stand. I know 4 years ago I was on the air and we had a pretty good idea that it had all gone wrong. So we'll see what happens. I hope that we are going to have a very happy show next week. So join me next week at that time. I'm sure a lot of you will be watching on TV, but I will try and also bring the results as they change during the show. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to go to commercial right now, and we'll be back for the final part of the show.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more on your federal or state income taxes, I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. The IRS, with their Fresh Start initiative, is offering more flexible terms to Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. They can help you lift your wage garnishments, stop bank levies, and put your tax problem behind you once and for all. If you owe tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS or state, our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, we can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your debt for far less than what you owe. 800-357-8110. 800-357-8110. 800-357-8110. 800-357-8110.
The offer of a franchise can only be made through delivery of a franchise disclosure document. Imagine yourself being a leader in America's fastest growing demographic category. More than 10,000 people a day turn 65, and a large percentage are going to need a helping hand at home or in choosing the right assisted living community. Always Best Care is looking for people who've excelled at everything they've done, but they're seeking a new challenge. Always Best Care is one of the fastest growing companies in this explosive field. We're looking for 25 new franchisees to keep our booming business growing. We'll back you up with the strongest award-winning marketing program in the industry, and we'll provide the special training and support that's fueled our growth to prepare you for this great opportunity. All that's missing is you. Call Always Best Care toll-free at 1-800-643-7508. That's 1-800-643-7508. For Always Best Care, 1-800-643-7508. Call today.
You're listening to Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patriotcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. Okay, folks, we're into the final segment of this last show before the election. Scary, isn't it? Like I said, next time I'm on the air, we will probably have a good idea which direction things are going in. Are the hidden Trump voters going to come out of the woodwork? So I want to start this final segment with a piece. Another piece that I got off the internet, and again, I apologize a little bit for taking someone other's words. I do like to try and do it as much myself, but again, so many of these things are just so spot on. I wanted to do it. Person I got it from was called Dean Felix, so thanks to him. But it looks kind of as if he might have got it from somewhere else. I don't know where it was. So he starts off, for those of you that wonder why so many of us are voting for Trump, I think this sums it up pretty good. And just want to say, in the chat room here, David said a lot of PISSED off people out there. But he started off, he made a typo and said there's a lot of KISS people out there. And of course I did have to reply. According to Clinton, there's probably a lot of KISS people out there as well. They still keep trying to tar Donald with that tar brush, but I don't think it's sticking. Apparently Machado was at another one of Hillary's 10 people rallies. So have you noticed, by the way, and sorry, I'm kind of digressing a little bit here. Have you noticed there's some pictures of Hillary rallies out on Facebook, and if you look closely, people have realized that they've been photoshopped to make the rally look much, much bigger. Because if you look closely, you recognize they're all the same heads, and they're just kind of stuck in different places at random. Have a look. If you look at Facebook stuff, I'm sure you'll see the picture somewhere. You know, even with that, the Clinton campaign has to lie to us. Anyway, so why so many of us are voting for Trump? The media just doesn't get it. They can't believe that people are so angry that they can no longer be manipulated. Millions of Trump supporters feel this way about Donald J. Trump. We don't care if the guy swears, or how many times he's been married, or who he voted for, or what his income tax return shows. We want the problems fixed. Yes, he's an egomaniac, but we don't care. We know he's not racist, or all the other things the liberal media is trying to label him with. We know he's raised a good family, and that says a lot about him. The country is a mess because politicians sucks. The Republican Party is two-faced and gutless, and illegals are everywhere, and Muslims are openly trying to hurt this country and make the civilized world adjust to them. We want it all fixed. We don't care that Trump is crude. We don't care that he's changed positions. We don't care that he fights with Megyn Kelly, Rosie O'Donnell, and so many of the elected establishment. We don't care that Rubio, Ryan, and the Bushes, and so many other top, old, and new Republicans refuse to endorse him for their own selfish reasons. And we know what they are. And by the way, just an editorial note here, and we especially know about Kasich, who confirmed that he had written in John McCain on his absentee ballot, which means his vote doesn't count at all because John McCain is not one of the approved write-in candidates. This guy should be drummed out of the Republican Party. And when Donald Trump, remember, not if anymore, when Donald Trump wins, I hope that Donald leans on Reince Priebus to kick the guy out of the Republican Party. He is a disgrace. He signed the pledge. At the very least, he could have said, I can't support Donald, but I will vote for him, which is apparently what Paul Ryan did, which is apparently what Marco Rubio eventually ended up doing. But to actually throw away your vote and not vote for him when you'd signed the pledge, it means we cannot trust you, Mr. Kasich, and you can get lost. We don't need you anymore. Anyway, back to the article. We don't care that he doesn't know the name of some Muslim terrorist. We don't care that he tried some businesses that didn't work out. This country is weak, bankrupt. Our enemies are making fun of us. We are being invaded by illegals. We are becoming a nation of victims, where every Tom, Ricardo, and Hasid is a special group with special rights to a point where we don't even recognize the country we were born and raised in. And we just want it fixed. And Trump is the only guy who seems to understand what we, the people, want. We're sick of politicians, sick of the Democrat, sick of the Republican Party. We're angry about the Iran deal, the budget, treatment of Israel, military weakness, lobbyists, special interests, overpaid politicians with their self-serving bills, backroom deals, trade deals, loss of jobs, manipulated economic numbers, businesses fleeing, even the phony pay for play Clinton Foundation. Americans are no longer going to be fooled, and the movement is out to change the direction we're taking. Trump may not be a saint, but he doesn't have lobbyist money holding him. He doesn't have political correctness restraining him, and you all know that he has been very successful, a good negotiator. He has built a lot of things, he's flexible, and also, most important of all, he is not a politician. And he says he will fix it. And based on his track record, editorial note here, he probably will, because when he says he'll fix something, he does. And we believe him because he is too much of an egotist to be proven wrong or to be looked at and called a liar. Public service has become elected greed. This may be our only chance to have a non-politician, despite his flaws, try to correct the mess, at least for 4 years. We must take the shot because the consequences of putting Hillary Clinton in office are frightening. There is a tidal wave happening, and it's going to overcome much of what's happened in this country. Folks, isn't that exactly correct? Don't you agree? I mean, for me, that is so perfectly worded, I couldn't do anything else but take those words and read them to you. That, I think, sums up how we the people feel. So remember, as I said at the beginning of the show, go out, get out of your comfort zone. Talk politics to people on the street, in the coffee shop, your friends, family, co-workers, etc. Explain to them why this has all become so important. And folks, make sure you get out and vote. It's time for TTFN. Folks, vote. Please vote. Talk to you next week, hopefully with good news. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.